Hey everyone, you're welcome to today's lecture. Today we shall be considering resources for teaching biology. That is the resources that are required or that will be required or that are needed for teaching biology. When we consider the resources for teaching biology, the resources can actually be divided into two. That is, you have human resources and you have, when you talk about human resources, these are human beings that are involved in the process of teaching and learning of biology. The biology teacher is one of the human resources. The laboratory assistant or technologist is another human resource that is used for teaching biology. Even the students are also involved in the teaching and learning of biology. But in this lecture, or in this course, we shall consider most especially the material resources, which is the second type of resources that are used or that are required in the teaching and learning of biology. The material resources are facilities or materials that are needed for the teaching and learning of biology. One important thing to note in this resource, in the selection of this particular resources, that is to select the resources that you will need or the material resources that you will need for teaching biology, they have to be, or it has to be, skillfully selected. That is, the material must be selected for definite purpose so as to be sure, or as to make sure that when such material is used to explain biology concepts to students, the concepts will be clearer. And the material resource that, or resources that are selected, must be related to the topic, that is, must be relevant to the topic that you intend to use it to teach. So we're going to consider the following. The first one we shall consider are the text materials. When we talk about text materials, we are talking about things like textbooks, magazines, journals, and the like. These are, materials that contain, or the written facts. They contain the written facts and principles about biology concepts. We are all used to textbooks, we're used to magazines, journals, are those things that the academics publish the results of their research inside, and you can get some facts and principles there that can be used to teach biology. Another one we shall consider are charts, pictures, and posters. When you have charts or pictures, they can be used to communicate biology information and concepts in teaching biology. Now, this charts, sometimes charts you draw on the charts, but you draw, diagrams to make a chart. And we can also have pictures and posters. But one thing that is important is that all these, they must be bold, and brightly colored so that students will be able to see clearly, and these materials will be able to communicate the right information to students, and they will facilitate students learning of the biology concepts. The next one is biology bulletin board. Biology bulletin board is usually a board that is placed at conspicuous place, usually maybe in the lab or on the wall of the laboratory outside, immediately outside, maybe by the door before you enter. It is actually a board where certain, clips that are related to biology concepts are being pasted. Clips that are gotten from either newspaper, magazines, or from drawings, or even some materials that are related. They could be placed or displayed on this board. Who brings these clips? It could be teachers, it could be students. They bring these clips and put there, and these clips are, when they are pasted there, they could be used to teach biology, as well as, as long as they are related to the concept. Another set of resources we're going to look at is models. Models are devices used to represent real objects of the concept that is being taught. They are usually, in three-dimensional form. And an example of this is skeleton. You have gotten to the lab, you have seen something, oh, this is skeleton, another one, this is human heart, another one, this is, those things you are looking at, they are concepts and they are used to communicate, they are models and they are used to communicate the reality of biology information during the teaching and learning process. Another one is laboratory. As we all know, laboratory is an important, a resource in the teaching of sciences. The same way, biology being one of the sciences, laboratory is very important. But it's not just the laboratory, those things that are inside the laboratory. So the equipment, laboratory equipment and materials are important for the explanation or discussion of biology concepts. Such equipments and materials include things like biological specimens, chemicals, microscopes, glasswares, Bunsen burner, tripod stand, thermometer. All these things are used for the purpose of teaching biology. You have so many of them. There are more than this, just to mention a few. So when you have a laboratory, you have those materials or equipment there, it makes teaching very easy for the teacher and it facilitates learning. Another one we're going to use that, look at our museum, botanical garden and a zoological garden. Museum is actually a place where things of historical significance, where they are kept. That is, things that are of historical significance, they are usually being kept there. So these acquisitions, if you have a museum that contains some events or some acquisitions that are related to certain topics in biology, can take your students there and use this museum to, or this particular acquisition in the museum, to teach your student. We also have botanical garden. Botanical garden is a place where we keep plants. You grow and keep plants. And zoological garden is also a place where you keep animals. Animals of various, of various kinds, different kinds. So it is possible to take your student to either botanical or zoological garden, so that you know the students will be able to have the opportunity of first-hand experience of the organisms during learning. When they see the organism, it makes them to have first-hand experience about these organisms, and most times when they have first-hand experience about these organisms, they are not likely, it's not likely they forget. It makes them to remember, because the information and the information and whatever they have seen still linger on in their brains. Then another one that could be used to teach biology is, or are, industries. The industries we have all around us in our environments, in our community, they could be used, they could be utilized for teaching and learning process in biology. It involves taking your students to industries or factories within your community to discuss and explain to them topics that are related to that particular company. For example, if there is a company that is a food processing company in your environment, you may use it to teach, you know, you may take your student there to teach them something like food preservation, which is a topic, one of the topics in biology. You use it to teach them. By the time you take them there, you you discover that the workers there, they will take them around, show them the different places, how they preserve certain things before they are being produced out for our consumption, and even after they are produced them, how they were being preserved. One thing is that for you to take your students out to a museum, to botanical or zoological gardens, or to an industry, it involves planning. You have to plan very well. You have to plan for your students before you take them out. You have to plan very well and see that, yes, what you are going taking them out there to look or to teach them, they are related to the topics that they are about to, the topics or the concepts they are about to learn. So all these are very important, so that the students will not just go there and It will not look as if they have just gone there just like sightseeing, but just it's going to be an experience, real teaching and real learning by the student. Then the next one that is common nowadays that we're going to look at is information and communication technology. When you talk about information and communication technology, it's so broad, very, very broad. You see nowadays, by the time you look here and there, almost every one of you have phones. You can use your phones, that is technology. The same way you use your phones for maybe for calls, for your TikTok, for whatever you visit Facebook and the rest. All these things are also used or can be used in the teaching of or teaching and learning of biology. Your computer system can be used in the teaching of biology. We're just going to look at few of this or the few ways by which you can use information and communication technology to teach biology. With the use of videos, for example, we have that contains so many videos that contain information about biology principles and concepts. You can bring these videos to the classroom for your students to watch. The moment they are related to the topic they are to learn, they watch the videos, and by the time they watch the videos, it going to facilitate their learning and will help the students. Then we have some topics or some concepts in biology that cannot be brought to classroom. They cannot, those topics cannot, the process cannot be, the topics can be brought to taught in the classroom, but the actual process, the real process cannot be brought to the classroom. They cannot be brought to the laboratory, neither can they be brought in from the nearby community. This type of topics can be treated by or can be taught by using simulations. Simulations are, a sort of is a sort of computer design or computer technology in which you have a representation of the real process and your students now watch it as it happens. So you bring the simulation you bring, the simulation will bring or show your student, the student will be able to visualize how you know the process occur within the body of an organism. So that is simulation, and this is usually done by computer technology. We also have internet. We also use internet. Internet can also be used for teaching and learning of biology. When we talk about internet, there are different ways, many ways by which you can use them. You can use the internet. You can go on internet, Google, and bring out a still image of a particular, maybe a particular organ or a particular thing you want to use to explain to your student. You can also, use internet by going online, look at maybe through email. You send email to somebody, the person send an information back to you. Then you communicate that way and you get the information that you want to get. Sometimes can also use um Google. You can use Google, you can use www to Google, that is worldwide, where you can use a World Wide Web, that is www, to get information that are related to biology concepts and principles. And when you get this information, you can use it or use them to teach your students biology concepts and principles. You see, all these resources make teaching and learning of biology, you know, easier, convenient, and also facilitates learning in students. But it is possible for these materials not to be available because it is science. Science materials are not cheap. In Nigeria today, most of the science materials are being imported. And when they are being imported, you can say, you can know that this will affect, you know, the value. It's going to affect the value, the financial implication. So they will be expensive. And you had to teach this topic you have to teach biology, you have to teach the concepts, you have to teach the principles. And there are some topics that, oh, if the materials are not there, the students may not really learn, because they may not be able to comprehend the information you as a teacher is trying to pass across to them. And so, in view of this, when the actual resources for teaching biology are not available, the teacher has to make options for other things to use. For other things that you can use. As a teacher, you have to make options. And so it is important for a teacher to develop the skills involved in improvisation. When most equipments or for teaching biology are not available, when they are available but expensive and your school cannot afford, or the ministry cannot send to you, it is important for you to acquire the skills. And the moment you acquire the skills, it will be useful to make other options for teaching, you know, options and produce other things for teaching and learning of biology, so that learning will be facilitated to your student and they will understand what they need, the concepts they are being taught. Now, we're going to look at another aspect of the resources for teaching biology. And this aspect is integrating community resource or resources for teaching biology. When we talk about integrating community resources, this involves the use of relevant resources in the community to teach biology. There are some resources within the environment, within the immediate environment of, you know, where the biology teacher teaches, that can be used. So by the time the teacher uses this relevant resources that are within the community, it provides a shared memory for the class. The students remember, the teacher also remember. So the students will not forget easily, and so learning continues with the student. This could be done by they could be done in two ways, either by taking students out on visits to the related resource area or place. That is, you take the students out to those places that are, that are resource areas or resource places that are related to what you want to teach, or by inviting relevant resource persons to come and make presentation to the students on that particular related biology principles or concepts and concepts. Community resources that could be used, or community, resources that are within environment that could be used for teaching and learning biology could be centers to visit. When you talk about centers to visit, maybe nature areas where you have just natural things growing there, gardens, aquaria, that is where you just have water, places to explore that are unique to the local school. That is, when we say local school, it does not necessarily mean village school. Your local environment, your environment where you are is your local environment. So places that are unique to that particular school, maybe a nearby creek, maybe pond, maybe even the streets, the city streets. Then another resource that could be used is people in the community. We can use people in the community. We have some people in the community that could be used, like for example, if you have nurses in the primary health center or in an hospital, they could be used. They could also be used to come and make presentation inside the classroom. Another example is you can have a conservation agency, for example. Such person could be called upon to come and make a presentation and discuss and explain to students what deforestation is. Deforestation is a topic under ecology. When you do something like that, students may, the learning is facilitated, and students may even like that particular explanation, and it may help them, that is, like the explanation of the resource person that is brought into the classroom, and that may facilitate the learning process of that particular topic. Thank you so much.